I have just finished this valet, which will replace this valet. Actually, this is Dad's valet, and I have had it. I've been using it since he was killed, which is well, in another week will be 23 years ago. And well, no, it won't be. It'll be 43 years ago. Golly, 43 years ago, yeah. And he had it undoubtedly 8-10 years before that, so this thing is easily 50 years old. But it's, well, I have had to repair it numerous times over the years. It is literally just coming apart and should be tossed. So I have this. It is sort of the same, except I don't have a drawer at the bottom. It will have these two drop-ins, and for me will be just dandy like that. Now here's the thing about this valet. I made the base box in August of 1999. I know because when I made it, I burned it on the bottom. So I know exactly when I made it. And I know that I made it for someone as a gift. Or actually it had begun as a gift. But I had just recently finished a box joint jig I made for my router table. I still have that box joint jig, as a matter of fact. But with my first corner or two, I could see that the jig itself needed some adjustments. The box joints just were not coming out clean and tight. And just so that everybody knows I'm fully aware of that, I put some really bad joints right here on the front. So I'm not hiding it. There are just some bad joints. And I continued with this box with adjusting that box joint jig, and with this box, and as you can tell, I got carried away. There are box joints everywhere. But I did get the box joint jig together to make tight jigs, and I've used it on a million times. Well, maybe not a million, but 100 times since then. But I had this box. I had no use for the box. So it has been sitting in my shed for, well, 23 years now. And I used it, but, well, it had no hinges on it, number one. It wasn't finished out, number two. And I would put in various projects I was working on, little pieces I would put in here. For the longest time, it held sawdust from various types of wood that I was working with. I would save the not the sawdust, but the sanding dust, so that you could fill lousy joints like that with the actual dust from the wood you were using. And it was just in my shed for 20-something years, and not long ago I decided I'd get it out, sand it, put hinges on it, at least make it a little more useful. I wish I would not have sanded it. Well, you can probably tell. Well, all wood, but poplar will get a darkening, kind of a orangey, amberish look over the years, and this had become that way, and I've sanded a lot of it out. So you can see between new poplar and old poplar, the new poplar starts out much whiter than it gets with age. I wish I wouldn't have done it for another reason as well, because it had various nicks and dings that it collected along the way when it was used in my shop, and I think it would have been nice to have kept that. But hindsight's 20/20, you know. I wish I would have. In fact, let me show you this. I made these two end tables. There's one there, there's one over there. In about, I'm going to say 03, 04. And you can see that wood over that time has gotten a really nice amberish kind of look. In fact, I think it looks like weak iced tea, and I like that look that poplar gets. I like it so much that, well, let me show you this. I made these two nightstands way long ago. That would have been, 96, 7, somewhere in there. This is pine, which is really white. Now it has gotten a little darker over the years, but it was really white when I started out, and I couldn't find a stain I liked. So what I did for months and months, as an experiment, I had not even built these end tables at that time, but as an experiment, I put I would make sun tea, still do, and day after day that I would do that, I would put those tea bags in a jar and leave them outside just to ferment, as it were. And of course it just got darker and darker, and by the time I made those end tables, I took a little piece of pine and tested that stain I'd made. I liked the color. I put 2 or 3 coats on it because it was really light colored, and it gave me the color you just saw, which I like. This one will, like I say, it'll be the same thing. I just made trays for it to fit in. It doesn't have a drawer, but it will work just fine. Now here's the thing. There are flaws on this, more than the ones I've just told you. If you have a good eye, you'll find some of them. And there'll be a lot of them that I can see that you'll probably never see, but you know, once I'm dead, if somebody wants this thing, just be aware. I know there are flaws in it, but it's going to spend its life on a chest of drawers in a closet, so it isn't seen every day. I'm not going to worry about it too much. In fact, I had just a few days ago thought I would sand it down and start with the finish again. And generally the finish of something is my strong suit. That's kind of how I save myself. But I didn't do such a great job. I evened it out and made it passable. But again, it's for me. I'm not going to worry about it. And when I'm dead, and if you have this thing, be aware. I'm aware. You can sand it down and redo this if you want to, but if it's just going to sit in on a dresser or a chest of drawers or in a closet, no need to worry about it. But anywho, this thing ought to work better than that thing, in my opinion.